What's going on, people? Let's talk about good shoes and what makes them, right? Now, obviously, that's a very loaded question, right? You can take that from so many different angles and run with it wherever you want to, right? Super subjective, especially when you just leave it out there so broadly and you don't have any sort of like criteria behind it. So, if you were to say, like, oh, well, is the Cascadia 16 a good running shoe, or is this Pegasus whatever a good trail shoe? Like, then you're kind of saying, I want to know about how this ranks in this sort of world, right? In this particular use. Then it's a little easier to talk about. But the thing is, the reason I'm bringing this up, a couple days ago, somebody during one of my little YouTube live things, they said, hey, is the Yeezy 700 something or other a good shoe? And I'm thinking, like, I mean, is it? That's kind of a you question, right? Because, and as I told that person, I'm like, look, I don't really have an answer for you because I'm not sure, what they're really asking, like which way they're trying to figure out, is it good? Because they didn't really define it. They didn't set anything up for me to come from, like any particular aspect they were curious about. So the way I look at it personally, right, just as far as what is a good shoe is like, and it's the same thing that I've said time and time again, right? And a lot of it comes down to just like overall functionality and purpose and such, right? So for one, does it do the thing that I need it to do well, right? So being comfortable is usually it, because at this point, I'm not doing anything crazy. I don't need anything too high tech into one realm or another. Largely on a day-to-day basis, I just need something comfortable, right? I'm not doing any sports on any level that would even be considered professional, right? That's not me. So that is a non-factor. What's the price like? That's also something that I consider, right? Because again, not everything that's super expensive or whatever is worth that super expensive price. Sometimes there's just like a name attached to it that takes it up a notch. Take the Yeezys, for example, right? If Adidas had just made that and it was just a shoe and not tied to Kanye West, they probably wouldn't have been selling it for like the price that it was, because ultimately it's some Boost and some Primeknit. Like, they've been doing that for a while at a way cheaper price point, right? And so the other thing, as far as like a good shoe, like, I would consider the color to be something to consider, right? Because if I look at something, and like I told this guy, whoever, or girl, whatever it was, like, if I'm looking for a good shoe, like something I could just overall recommend, let's just take this at the base level, right? If I'm recommending a good shoe to somebody, I'm looking at something that's going to be comfortable, something that's going to be cheap, and have some color options that fit for most people, right? So that's where I look at, if I was to say, like, what is a good shoe? Asics Gel-Lyte 3, that's a good shoe, right? Because they come in a million colors. You can find them, I mean, they're not everywhere. I honestly really just see them at like the Asics outlets and the asics.com or whatever, but they tend to have a lot of colors going on, and there's sales like all the time, right? And again, the comfort, I'm going to bring that back because that's super important, right? So that, to me, yeah, that's a good shoe, because you can tell anybody, like, oh, if they need something for walking, they can use that. If they need something for running, they can use that. There are better options, but they can, right? If you just need something just for gym class and, for like some high school or something, yeah, that works too, right? It fits a lot of the bills. I'm not going to say that's the only thing, but it's honestly like the first thing that comes to mind for me, right? Because again, taking all three of those components, like price, color, comfort, overall availability, I guess, kind of falls in there too. But taking all that, that's kind of like the front runner, at least in my mind. There are other things on the list. I just can't think of any right off the top, so I'm not going to bother. Now, other people, right? And other people have different opinions, and I totally get that. Because some people might be thinking like, okay, the good shoe in their opinion might be like, what's going to get them the most attention, right? So they're thinking like, okay, I need to get the, I don't know, Travis Scott something or other. I assume that's still a popular thing. I honestly don't know because I've never really been into any of them. But that's a popular thing, right? For some people, also like whatever the most recent Jordan retro of an original colorway was, right? Those always do pretty well. A lot of people like those. You know, you bring out say the Cherry 11. I thought they were garbage. Personally, I just didn't like the way the color layout was. But a lot of people, that's like up there for them. They look at that like, oh yeah, this is a good shoe. You gotta get this. You gotta have it because it's iconic, right? They look at what happened in it, like what era it represents, all the legacy that goes on with that particular shoe. To them, that elevates it a bit. And I get that. I can't side with you on that. I just can't relate in that way because I wasn't paying attention in any way to that stuff. But I totally see where people are coming from, where they like hype those up a lot. So if somebody asked me, as somebody did, hey, is the Yeezy 700, would you consider that to be a good shoe? No, I wouldn't. Like, at all, right? We'll stick with like just the 700, the first one, like the Wave Runner style, right? For one, super expensive, right? Unnecessarily expensive for what it was, and that's just my opinion. Obviously, this is all my opinion. I just say that so people remember. Like, I'm not trying to present this as facts. When I say something sucks, obviously that's just an opinion. So yeah, super expensive. That is kind of a fact though, because I mean, I think they were like $300 or something, right? So you got that. Color wise, I mean, there's not a lot of colors out there. You kind of have to pick of the 3 or 4 whatever that are out there, and then hope that like the one you like you can even get, right? And if you can't get it for retail, I don't know what the resale was like, but I remember seeing like at least like 500 at some point on the Wave Runners. Other ones perhaps even more. I don't really know. And that goes along with the availability, of course. And then you look at the comfort, which again, not everybody cares about that. I do, because it just makes sense for the way I live my life. It wasn't great. I mean, I don't think it was awful or anything like that, right? But I just couldn't see any reason to hype those up and like, no, this is what you gotta get. They just didn't even look that good. They just looked bad, right? So no, I wouldn't say it was good. Looking at other ones, I mean, there are some decent looking V3s out there, but even like the ones that I thought looked really good, I still wouldn't necessarily say it's a good shoe, because I think like if something's good, like you would recommend it to everybody. You would say like, oh yeah, get this, you can't go wrong, right? But you can, because you can accomplish the same thing cheaper, right? So that's a big factor, at least for me. Everybody's got like their different spending habits and stuff. I mean, I've bought some shoes that are pricey. My Dizygotics were, I think, $300, right? But I also like to get my deals and stuff too, right? You know, so I'm all for the outlets and the clearance racks, digital or physical, in place, right? In person, I should say. So all in all, just when people bring that question up, they're like, oh, would you recommend this? Like, should I get this shoe or should I get that shoe? It's always like one of those things where I usually just say, yeah, you just get whatever, just pick the one you like the most. Whichever one stands out to you and you think like that one looks better, do that. Because I don't know what all the criteria they're going for, and I'm not about to type out this whole thing in the comment section, right? It's a lot to really just get in there and to say, because a lot of people don't even respond to the things, so I don't even know if they actually even check back. I sometimes feel like people just create a comment and then they just kind of copy and paste it in a couple places and just see who all responds, which makes sense, right? Because if you see a bunch of reviews about the Air Max 2009 and you have whatever question, yeah, throw it on all the videos. Somebody will respond to you, probably in a nicer way than I might, or in a more robust way, if you will. So for me, when people bring up that question of like, oh, is this good? Would you recommend it for me? It's like, I don't know you, dude. Like, I don't know what color, if this is a color for you, or I don't know what your wardrobe is like, or your preferences are like. So for me, I'd like to just stay away from all that and just stick to the basics of like, overall, if somebody was in need of a pair of shoes and you were going to go to a store somewhere and get them something, what would be a pretty safe bet, right? And that's, to me, a good shoe, because it's going to work out for most people. And that's, again, I'm going to bring it on back. The gel-lyte 3s, there's a couple right over there somewhere. Those are pretty solid. I don't know what the selection is like right now, but like other times when I've been on the ASICS page, they've had 1,000,000 of them, right? Which is why I bought so many that first year that I found out about them. Got my first pair in like 2021? No, excuse me, 2019. I think it was 2019. Yeah, and then the next year, I was just like, I was super into them. Got all kinds of them, right? So I think I have like maybe 15 now. But that's just me. You might not even like them, but you know, it's something to try out. Either way, that's just what I wanted to bring up because, hey, felt like something I would talk about. Maybe somebody out there will have their opinion. They can share that and have a little dialogue, a little back and forth. So there's that. From me to you, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, whatever it is, wherever you are. I recorded all the things I needed to record for today, so cool. Now I just got to do some editing of things and clean up because I've got shoes and boxes everywhere. It's ridiculous. Later, people.